Alaman din.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever or whenever you may be. This is the overnight. I am DM Foss, and tonight, so far, we have G Webs. How you doing tonight?
Fair to middling. Thanks for hosting.
And I don't really have a topic for tonight. Yeah, DJ had sent me something to watch, and I haven't watched it yet as a possible topic. But so we'll just talk about some gun stuff. Let's take a quick look to see who is out there so far. X Adam won. So let me know he got the knife. That's good. That's a pretty cool knife. I did end up ordering one for me because I liked it so much. So glad you got it. And Woods was out there. DJ Play Nice. Wesley Foster. G23. 2 Live Moo. Moobies himself. No, there was Ozzy Osbourne. Seven Wonders. Hope you're doing well. M. Gabriel. Gunmetal Guy USA. Hey, is that everybody? It looks like everybody that said anything out there. There we go. Oh, if you watch this in replay, leave a comment. I always read the comments, and they're always appreciated. Let me get our banner going. Make sure I get the right one. There we go. At the bottom of the screen, there's an email address. You can send in comments, suggestions, pictures within reason. Anything we talk about, agree with, disagree with, let me know. So, X Adam 1 had asked, what's that gun on the thumbnail? Let me find a picture of one. It is a Star M45 Firestar. So there we go. Oops.
What do you link? Are you linking to it or showing a picture of it?
Just showing a picture of it off guns.com. Okay, that's not what I wanted. That's probably something that'll get us in trouble. But yeah, there was. I went to Cabela's yesterday, and they had one in the gun library. I am infatuated with it now. I love the kind of late 80s, 90s semi-autos, like the third gen Smiths. I love the look of those. I really like this one. And I have enough. I could buy it. But I'm supposed to be saving up for a 1911. So I am torn. And that's one of the things that I do a lot is there's something that I want, and I'll research it, figure out what I want, but then I'll see something at the gun shop right in front of me, and I'll buy that thing that's right in front of me instead of getting the thing that I had been planning on getting for however many months. I don't have any experience with them. I just love the way it looks, especially it being stainless. It's 45 single action, which I think if they had made them in a single action, double action, I probably would have bought it. I would have went back and bought it. But so right now I'm just kind of, I think about it and then try and remind myself that I was saving up for something different. But you don't see these a lot, and it might already be gone. So I don't know.
Well, they're old, right?
Yeah, they quit. I think they went out of business in like 87, 97. When did they go out of business? I don't know. Yeah, I'm not I don't remember. I know I was kind of reading up on them yesterday after I got home. The company closed its doors in 97. Yeah, so they went out of business in 97. Yeah, I don't know. As I kind of read up on this, looked into it, and then looked around at 1911s again, and I go back and forth. Uncle Jim is saying he had a couple of the 9mm. Yeah, and there's no more parts. That's kind of one of my concerns, but it's still cool.
Have you ever shot one or just played with it at the start?
No, I just looked at it in the case. I didn't even touch it.
Oh, okay.
If I touched it, I probably would have bought it. So
You know the difference between like a Chinese tool and a Japanese tool?
Yeah.
It's kind of like, I'm not going to say it's obvious. It's just like maybe the difference between a 1950s gun and a gun from 2023. It's going to be like that. Like there's going to be some tolerance and some gaps, and there's going to be some creep and some reach before parts hit each other or whatever. It's not like now where if they want the part to be this size, every single part is this size. Back in the day, they knew that there'd be a variation in parts, so they built everything to compensate for these variations, and you end up with in order for the gun to not go back to the shop every 5 minutes, you end up with a gun that's kind of like that. So I think that's the concern that people have with them.
Yeah, I know it
Or
could
anything
be
old. Not just those, but anything old. I mean,
could be like the girl you see that she's attractive. You're attracted to her, and then you go out on a date, and as soon as you start talking, you realize what a mistake it was. I don't know if that's ever happened to you, but
yeah, I know exactly what you mean. It's just that it's more than that, because it's sort of like you went on an extended vacation with her or something. Like you made a little bit more obligation than just a date because you bought the thing. It's like you got married right away.
yeah, I know, but still, it's that infatuation that's hard to
But
get
here's
over.
the thing: if you really like the gun and it turns out to be a lemon, or it's broke, or you can't get parts for it, or you just don't like it, or whatever, but you still really like it, then who cares? You just keep it and have it because you like it, and then you buy some other gun to fill the role. At least for most people, if you're trying to keep all guns to fill a role, either create a new role or
Yeah,
get another gun to fill that role.
if it wasn't for the fact that I'm trying to buy a 1911, then it wouldn't be an issue.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even. It's apples and oranges to a 1911, really.
Yeah,
Different size, different caliber, different manufacturer, different level of gun.
yeah. I don't know. That's why I almost went back today to look at it, and I know if I had, I would have bought it. So I did not go back.
You know what I'd say that is? That's like a European convertible. So maybe like a BMW or like a Saab or something. Like it's some kind of European convertible. And then you're like, I went to the store to buy a Ford pickup. And like, okay, like either a Ford pickup or maybe a Chevy pickup or maybe a Dodge pickup. But I wanted to get a Ford pickup or a pickup. And then I'm looking at this like Saab convertible. So it's sort of like apples and oranges, except it's not a Saab. It's more like I don't want to call it like a Volkswagen convertible. It's not like it's not like a bad car. It's just or like a Yugo or something. But it's like I don't want to say Saab because I think those are high performance cars. But you know what I mean. It was like it's a different realm from where you were, and it's not really filling the goal or the role of
Yeah.
1911.
X Adam 1 is telling me to stay focused. I must have a 1911 in my collection. And Two Live Moo is wondering how much it was. It was, I'm thinking it was $4 something.
$4? Well, now I'd totally buy it.
Yeah. They also had a car. It was $380, but it was stainless. That was like $300.
When I worked at that shop, they quit buying cars because so many cars came back. So
Really?
people will tell me that's because of the year, this or that or the other. But I met the guy, and he's a nice guy and everything. And I know that they're doing good stuff. But I don't know. I put them in the same place as like maybe just below Ruger, and that makes them below Smith and Wesson and some of the other brands. So like they're there. I'm just not.
Yeah.
They're right at the edge of what I'd consider like something I would give to like my sister or somebody who just had to work a gun, wasn't going to know a lot about it, but just needed a gun right away. Like I'm not afraid to acknowledge when things that are like work, they work. I don't care if everybody hates them or if they're the wrong color or they're broken. But the same way, I don't like things just because everybody likes them either.
Yeah.
Like a 1911, I'll acknowledge that they work just fine. Like they're fine unless you get some goofy one or some fancy one or some shitty one. Like most of them work just fine. And then anyway, so that's right.
Part of it is I looked at I think it was at MK40. It was stainless and it felt great in my hand.
Which one?
Car. It was
Oh yeah.
And it didn't stay there very long. I didn't have enough on me at the time. I was when I was looking at 1911s yesterday to try and talk myself out of the Firestar, I was kind of looking at the Smith and Wesson E series. Well, I mean, I looked at a bunch of different ones, but I was looking at a stainless
What
Smith and
is
Wesson.
that? A revolver?
No, 1911.
Oh, okay. So where's you don't care about MIM? You're all about MIM.
No, not really. I'm not too
Where
worried
they
about
take
it.
a bunch of powdered metal and pour it
Yeah.
into a mold and melt it.
But I'm still the 1911s. I'm still because I was looking at I'm looking at all of them, but kind of still leaning towards stainless just because I love stainless guns. But if I get a blued one, not stainless, then I can have it heat treated so you get the color.
Well, that has nothing to do with the 1911. So stainless doesn't really have nothing to do with the 1911 either. But I'd go stainless over steel because you live right next to an ocean,
Yeah.
or at least close enough where your atmosphere has to be oceany, salty.
Well, the having the case color done, it's just something that's a little bit different and it looks nice.
All right, just wrong for 1911. But again, so is stainless, so it doesn't matter.
So yeah, that's kind of why I put that on I didn't have a thumbnail anyway, so I just used that as the thumbnail, the Firestar. And there was mandatory carry had asked on a couple of the on a Discord and then on our Guilded server, which in the description there's a link for the Guilded server, place to kind of hang out, share memes, chit chat. You can always get a hold of me there, and I think most of the other people that come on the chats, you can probably get a hold of them too if you want it. But somebody had asked him about the Smith and Wesson 380 EZ for somebody's grandma, and they're okay. I mean, they're not great, but they're not bad. I have one right here, which you can't see because I don't want to get in trouble. I mean, they do rack easily. It's not as easy as the EZ9. I swear racks easier than this does, but it's still pretty light. The spring isn't very strong. It's only 380. And with the magazines, they have the little, I don't know, the little nubs on the sides, like the 22s magazine, so you can pull it down to help making loading it easier. So it'll work.
I mean, if somebody's grandma is like 50, I guess it's different than our grandmas are older than that. But I'm not seeing a grandma having the interest or the dexterity, the finger strength, or again having the focus to learn how to work on automatic. I'd give her a revolver or a Derringer.
Yeah, though, really the only thing that I'm not an old lady, so I can't say for sure, but it has a grip safety, and that might feel kind of awkward.
Yeah, that's horrible. What if you don't got grip strength, or what if you're just not feeling it that day? I can mansplain to what old ladies like. I've seen enough cartoons and movies.
But these are kind of made for, people with weaker hands. And so, I don't know. That's just my opinion on them. I have one, and it's for newer shooters, so I have a lighter caliber to let them shoot and try out.
Yeah, I mean, if you could take grandma to the shop or the rental place and she can try some stuff and she's like, oh yeah, this is actually good for my hands to go through this and learn how to manipulate this thing and get comfortable with it. And I got no problem doing all of this. And then I'm confident that I'll be drawing this thing before somebody's actually physically touching me. Because everybody forgets that, because nobody ever trains for real. Everybody forgets that when a semi-auto is out of battery, it doesn't do anything. All it does is give you a false sense of security. So a revolver will almost always work. Even if you're literally on top of somebody's on top of you or you're being mauled, you can still use a revolver through a purse, through pockets. you can still use a revolver. And well, I'm just never going to be
Well,
convinced that a semi-auto is a thing to have for regular people. For
that's
super strong, confident, ambitious people. Okay.
that's one story that has stuck with me throughout all these years. Is um, one of my best friends. He was telling me this back when we were in high school, but his mom worked in downtown Seattle, and she got off work, and some dude followed her back to her car, and she carried a nickel-plated 38. She pulled out the 38, and as soon as he saw it, he decided to stop following her.
Heck yeah. Even if it was like, I'm going to just ask this lady for directions, and he's like too much of an idiot to understand how he's being perceived by the lady, then it serves him right to be scared shitless. But yeah, and if it's a criminal, then good. He now knows that victims have lethal consequences, and he goes home a different type of criminal who has to now think twice. So everything about that story is good to go. She had the confidence to get it in the first place, and then the confidence to brandish, and then she could tell the story. So I think that's a perfect example. That's how we could change the whole narrative. Just explaining that little bit of the equation to the bunch of people who watch Oprah.
And I wanted to say hello to John Hand. He said just subbed.
That'd really be cool. Oh, sorry.
Said he just subbed right now, and I appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out with us.
You know what a Chicago gun is?
No.
Not the Chicago typewriter, but a Chicago pistol. It's the one that looks like a circle with a pipe sticking out of it, and you hold it in your hand, and you put the pipe out between your two fingers, and you punch somebody in the gut with it, essentially.
Oh, yeah.
Right? It's not really. There's a one that you punch people with from the war, but it's not that. It's an old gun that it's got a rotary magazine. I think it was 32 super short or extra short or something, and it's a competent, like, maybe it was rimfire, but I don't remember. Anyway, so it was shooting like, it's like a bicycle tire, except that you're shooting out from the spokes. So the barrel was at 9 o'clock, let's say, and every time a bullet would get to that 9 o'clock position, it could fire. And all the other bullets were like at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 o'clock, and it would come into battery. I don't know where it ejected. Maybe it didn't eject. Maybe it just kept the cartridges in place. I've never actually shot one. I've only seen them. They're super expensive because of the stupid NFA in 1936 ceased production of anything that didn't have a grip and a trigger separate. So it didn't look like a gun, so it got put as an AOW, and or any other weapon. You couldn't make them anymore, or you couldn't buy them without registering it for $200. So nobody decided to make them anymore, and that was the biggest crime for old people and people with differently abled, people that are injured, people with missing limbs, people that, for any number of reasons, aren't going to be able to shoot a regular gun. And that's where, again, the national level organizations are playing games when they could be. And we got the baby boomers. They're about to age and get to a point where they are going to need alternative things. So when we're talking about what to give an old lady, I think imagine something that looks like an iPod case that she can hold in her hand comfortably. And on one side, it's a loud alarm. And on another button, like one finger, it's an alarm. 2 fingers, it's a flashlight. Or, some easy to do thing where she just squeezes it in different ways. And then the most difficult, like the 4-finger grip, or like the thing that takes the most dexterity or the most intention, bam, is like, a 3 or 4 shot 357 that somehow absorbs the recoil and turns that into, I don't know, like some kind of evidence confetti that gets strewn all around. So it creates a crime scene full of evidence. And there's no way for people to walk around in that crime scene without tampering with whatever comes out of that device. Like, as soon as criminals know that it's almost ineffective for them to fight with old people because they could be carrying around a little rubber egg that turns into like a get away from me hand grenade, and also, could either kill them or make it impossible for them to deny what they tried to do. And not to mention cameras and stuff. I think that's one of the biggest crimes of the NFA. Sorry, I don't want to get off on tangents, but if we're talking little old ladies, we're confined to things where guns are made for people in the military. If you want to insist, I don't, but if you want to insist that guns are made as weapons and all guns are made first for military, well, then you have to acknowledge they're made for middle-aged or young to middle-aged men, because that's what almost all military stuff is designed for first. and then you're going to say we're going to adapt that to old ladies. That's messed up. So we should have no NFA, and we should be able to start with what does a little old lady want to carry and what does it need to do, and then make a machine around that.
I agree.
Maybe it looks like a little kidney shaped thing or something, but I'm sure it's going to be a more ergonomic thing that probably can do something, because a little old lady isn't going to want to be like nice and then lethal. She's going to want a degree of things, and why not give her that option? And then once people go, I got this little old lady past the leave me alone stage, I better be running, because the next stage is I don't breathe anymore.
Pacifist Productions is out there, and Colostomy Bag. And I thought there was one more, but I might have missed. I missed you. I apologize. Maybe that was everybody. And
Pacifist?
What's that?
You said pacifist?
Yeah. And Colostomy Bag had said anything blowback, and then brought up PPK, and I lost his thing. I should have marked it. The only problem, marker PPK, PP. The only problem with like the PPKs are the springs are really stiff, so they're hard to rack, and so somebody with lesser grip strength can be almost impossible for them to rack. Really accurate, but hard to manipulate. And let's see, some of the 1911s. I did get the email. X-Adam1 sent me a link for an Smith & Wesson E-Series. And I think G23 had asked about 70 series, 80 series. I don't really care, personally. Doesn't make a difference to me. And Uncle Jim is bringing up T-Sauce. I want an American-made one, though. Because I started out, I was looking at Kimber's, and I know Kimber gets a lot of hate, but they are very attractive. And from what I've heard, from people that I know, if there's a problem, usually it's the magazines. So if you change out the magazines, that'll clear up most of the problems you have with Kimber's.
I don't know. 9 out of 10 people that are paid by Turkish gun companies say that Turkish gun companies' guns are just as good as American gun companies' guns. It's pretty good odds.
And Uncle Jim is saying 70 series is the way to go.
Lighter trigger, less parts. The way Browning intended it to be, not some goofy version of it.
And X-Adam saying he already forgot what we were talking about. Last thing we were talking about, he heard, was 1911s. We're kind of jumping around a little bit.
Well, here's what happens. 2 people are in here. You're going to get 2 points of view. Jump in here. You get more points of view. You see who else is out there? Is that legal?
Uh-oh. Baron SVG.
Is that authorized?
Well, he is an adult. He can do as he pleases. But it's good to see he's still up and around. Ozzy Osbourne's bringing up the Beretta Cheetah knockoff. Who is it that makes that? The one with the tip-up barrel?
Oh, the Clover and Ghost just got? One of the companies that Clover and Ghost works with. I don't know which one it is. EAA?
Yeah.
Pearson?
They're I think they're kind of cool looking, but I have a personal grudge against EAA, so I will not buy any of their firearms.
Oh, right on. That's
again.
good to hear.
And that's just me. So
yeah, you're allowed to. I don't mind people having issues with stuff, especially if you got torqued or ripped off or something.
Yeah. I'll show that in a
Plus-
little bit.
Plus, you
No.
can just not like something because you don't like it. You know what I mean? Like, let's say that somebody you had a problem with or something, or you had a bad time in a Ford and you don't like Fords anymore. Like, you're just allowed to not like Fords for your own reason. I don't think everybody's got to be like, oh no, I like Fords, so everybody has to acknowledge Fords are so good.
I'm just downloading the picture of Moosehead in so I can show it in just a little bit.
Do you have to have any kind of like authorization or permission from Gizzard to show gun pictures?
No. If he has a problem with it, he can jump in here and we can hash it out.
Oh, it's Father's Day, dude. He's with all the other dads getting treated like queens.
Not me.
What's the deal? You're there by yourself now, or you're not by yourself?
Yeah, it's just me and my daughter. My wife went took my son to go visit grandma, so the only grandma they have left. So they're going to be gone till next week. Next Adam one saying happy. Whoops, where'd it go? There we go. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers in the chat. It's a thankless job, but somebody's got to do it.
Wade says he doesn't like Henry. I think Henrys are super heavy. I mean, I guess why, but I mean, they're trying to be old or whatever. But come on, man.
They're attractive. They're.
Hmm.
I like the way they look better than the.
Like a Winchester or something else.
No, not the Winchester. No, you can't beat a Winchester, but better than the
What are the
Rossies.
other ones? Yeah, and then what's the ones that are on the side that everybody fucking likes?
Or like Marlin.
Marlins. I don't like those. They look like they're broken or they look like they got stepped on or something to me. Because I think Winchesters, and then everything else looks different than a Winchester.
Yeah, that's what the gun shop DJ took me to in Lincoln. Was it in Lincoln or Omaha? Oh, but they had a ton of Henrys laid out. I remember back in the 90s, Henry had infomercials at night on TV.
Oh yeah, Henry's that's their thing. They do marketing uniquely. I think Carr does some TV commercials too, didn't they?
I don't remember that.
I mean, I don't watch TV too much, but whenever I was at a hotel and I'm watching TV, I would see Henry commercials, and I've heard Henry commercials on radio before too.
Yeah.
And they're always they're not to gun shows, they're to like Rush Limbaugh shows, or just shows that they think gun people might listen to.
Yeah,
and they're okay. They're kind of like, hey, we sell guns, and we're made in America, and all our stuff is super good quality. And
that's what the infomercials pretty much really pushed was, made in America.
Yeah, and they're proud of it, and Wisconsin's such a great state and everything. So I think they're pretty decent. They're like a good ambassador. They're not being weird, and they're not being like, they're a lever action gun from the olden days, so they're not like offending anybody really.
Yeah, because that's one that I would love to have is a Marlin Big Boy, like in 44 or 4570 or 357 or, but I wouldn't mind the Marlin. I think Marlin makes was it Marlin? Who makes the 30-06 lever gun?
Oh, I have no idea.
Yeah.
A 30-06 lever action would be Savage or something, I think.
Might be. I don't remember.
From doing the gun inventors research, Savage's whole thing was that he used a rotary mag like 1022 does. He was the first one to invent that. So he could, I don't know why he did it. He did it so that he could center the balance of the gun so that it didn't change other than get lighter, the fulcrum was at your trigger instead of the magazine being a weight that was way in front of the trigger, and it changed the balance of the gun as you were shooting it. So he did the magazine in a rotary thing in order to, and it didn't come out. You had to load it from the top. But he did that in order to keep the balance. And then, like 5 minutes later, they invented primers and smokeless powder, smokeless powder. And you could put higher pressure into a lever action all of a sudden because of the better primers and smokeless powder. And all the other Winchesters were like, oh shit, let's go back to the drawing board and put more metal in this gun. And Savage could just handle it right off the bat. So soon, and plus the rotary magazine means that the centerfire pointing bullets didn't matter because they were sitting next to each other and not in front of each other. So you could start shooting the first semi-auto or the first smokeless powder out of those Savage 99s. And as soon as that thing broke and he made a bunch of money, he booked out of there, went to California, sold the company, left his name on it, but sold the company, went to California and invented the radial tire. Got into car racing, and they built some of the first cars in the United States in the Henry factory. And then he booked out of there, went to California, and then eventually he had a pretty bad end, but lived to 81. He was a savage dude, so to speak. But I don't like his guns. I would get one. I would shoot one, but I don't really want one.
What do you think about the Henry revolvers?
I have to look at it. I don't know if I know it. It's new, huh?
Yeah, I am not a fan. I mean, I haven't seen one up close, but I don't like the way they look.
You're gonna have to. It's gonna be tough. I spent 17 years hanging out at a gun shop with Bob, who liked old guns, old West guns, and spent tons of time with old dudes coming in and BSing with, same way that we BS with each other about stupid shit like grip angles and this and that. These old guys would talk to each other about stupid stuff. Those don't look old enough for me, and they looked, for the size they are, they got too many old features. So I don't know. Are they 22s?
357. The big boy revolver is 357-38, and then the trigger guard is brass.
Well, they have to because of Henry, I guess. What is the thing? Oh, it's just a brass little thing behind, like where the grip comes up to the bottom of the hammer. That's just a little piece of brass. That's not like a lanyard loop.
Yeah.
I don't know. They look weird to me.
I'm not a fan.
You know what? It looks like a RG10. I mean, I have way too many RG10s that look exactly like the one that doesn't have a bird's head grip. That there's no way I'm paying money for it because I paid $10 for most of my guns like that. And it looks like a starter's pistol. The way that the gap around the cylinder is and everything.
Yeah.
It's weird that if that's a 38, why does the cylinder on the one on the right, is it optical illusion, or does that cylinder look way smaller than the one on the left? And the trigger looks way bigger to me on the one on the right. The trigger and the cylinder look the same size.
I think it's just an optical illusion.
Yeah, maybe because of the grip or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, if they were sub $200, I guess I could see them being a contender for those things called that come from wherever. But they're Henrys, so they're not going to be that. They're probably $500.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Let me see if I can.
What do you know? Gun Blast likes them. I'm surprised that Clover hasn't hooked up with Henry. He likes Henry's looking stuff, you would think.
Let's see.
Ozzy's saying they look like an old Colt, but way overpriced. They don't look old to me. That's my problem. They don't look weathered, or I mean, I don't know. I'm not good at applying age to them. Like thinking, what would it look like if I?
Holy shit! Sportsman Warehouse has it for $779.99. No, thank you.
I cannot understand that. It should look so. It's for that kind of money. It should look like some kind of cool Western movie or a European sports car. That kind of money. It should be the kind of thing where people stop shooting to look at what you just took out of the bag or whatever. This looks like, dude, I'll go get an RG10 if you want. Like, that looks like an RG10 to me.
Well, we can't show it.
I mean, show it, I guess, if you just look up RG10. But anyway, I'm talking like one of the very inexpensive revolvers that they made for a minute. Weird. Now, I might be wrong, and I could look exactly like some old gun that I don't know, because I'm thinking I liked the guns that were more percussion, and then some of the percussion that got converted to cartridge. Very few cartridge guns or double action guns were what I was thinking when I think old guns. So this, if that looks like some kind of 1930s gun, it could be whenever the first. When did double action and cartridges?
Here's an RG10 for those who might not know.
Which is obviously a lot dumber looking, but look kind of like a starter pistol.
Yeah. Uncle Jim saying they look like the cheap H&Rs.
And he says they're going for closer to 1,000.
Wow.
That's because Henry has people that really like Henry, like fans. And it's not like it's going to fall apart. I'm sure it's super well made. Like, I'm sure it's overmade, not for that money, but it's not going to fall apart. It's definitely not cheap like an RG2. I hope.
Oh, I guess they had them at the shop we went to. DJ took me to, but I don't remember seeing it. But
I wonder if it's the kind of thing where they're like, look, we're going to be making these, and we know that the first ones are going to have to help us pay for the tooling, and we know that somebody's going to value these first ones, so where these first ones are going to be super expensive, and then the price will drop to like sub 300, but you're going to make that possible by buying this first run of 700, help us pay off all the tooling, and then we'll have, we'll be able to start talking about more revolvers going forward. If it's something like that, I guess I could understand investing, so to speak, in the first run of a new branch for a company. But correct me if I'm wrong, Henry never made any revolvers. I don't know where they get off thinking that, like, hey, let's just make historic revolvers. Go by somebody's name or something.
I do remember seeing the Henrys, now that he reminded me. Yeah. They're just as ugly in person.
Did you pick one up?
No, it was in the case. We just kind of looked at them. But CNT Designs and Arms is out there. Hey, Coop. That was the last day I was there, and I had a splitting headache and felt like crap. So I looked at the stuff, but I didn't engage very much.
That happens when you shoot 9mm for more than a day or two. You'll start to feel ill and kind of woozy. Yeah. Your arms will turn kind of spaghetti-y, and you can't even pick things up anymore.
M. Gabriel was asking what was the 4570 in Jurassic Park. I think that was a Marlin, wasn't it?
Why do I want to say, isn't it a thing from Wild West Guns in Vegas? A breakdown? Guide gun?
Because if it's,
or is it from a real company?
I think it's from a real company, because I think they list the Tyrannosaurus Rex on their what it can kill
as like what it's good for. I know that so many people rip it off that it's hard to know who's the original, or I can't remember at least who's the original.
Was it this one? Yeah, I don't remember exactly. Yeah, Baron's saying it was a Marlin, 1895. That's what I'm looking at.
Yeah, that's what I'm finding off of the internet. The internet is confirming what Baron just said. Every source on the internet.
Uncle Jim is saying if you buy a Marlin, you want JM stamped or wait for Ruger.
Is that one of the inspectors or something?
I have no idea.
Or the builders?
X Adam saying I'm most used to seeing revolvers that price range, so it doesn't seem out of the ordinary. The 686 plus Chiappa Rhino, Colt Cobra. There's a huge difference between those guns you're listing and the Henry. I quality wise, I don't know. I don't know anything about the Henrys other than they exist, but the look wise, everything he listed is a whole lot better looking than that Henry.
Would you say like a Rolls Royce or some like clunky expensive car? Like there's clunky expensive cars, maybe like a Bentley or something. Like yeah, okay, it's in like a or one of those, just something with like the old styling, like compared to, or maybe just an old. I don't know. But
Well, if I was to say it was a expensive car, I would put it at like a, I don't know, were the Cadillac Cimarrons, were those expensive? Because they were ugly.
Actually, that's a pretty good analogy for it because it's got quality parts and stuff. It's just like it looks like it was built by committee and like they didn't put a lot of passion into it. But I'm sure it's got quality. I'm sure they didn't cut any corners. You know, they're not ripping anybody off, so to speak. They're paying Americans to make it. They're not making it out of cheap metal in some country where they don't have to pay nobody and there's no social security and stuff. And all the stuff that they're doing is advertising money for companies here in the United States. And their Henry again does a great job of like, what do they call awareness or like reaching people that aren't even into guns, and they're a very comfortable introduction to guns for a lot of people, even if they never buy a gun. Those Henry commercials can't be bothering them. They're not inciting any kind of emotion or nothing. They might be a little too patriotic for the most extreme of them, but I can't imagine that money that you're spending to Henry is making anybody in Wisconsin super rich and they're dancing on $100 bills or nothing. You know, I mean, yeah, it's an expensive gun, but just the looks of it looks like some kind of old goofy European thing, and
Yeah.
everything else you listed is like a Mercedes and or like not a Mercedes, like a Corvette and like you know, a Camaro or something, and like you know, some other fast car. Like over here, our guns are cool, and I don't know how that one works. It looks clunky. I'm assuming for $700, it must be smooth as butter, right? It has to have a good trigger. There's no way that it's clunky. It just looks like an old clunky gun to me.
Uncle Jim
The
said
Cimarron didn't even look like a Corvette. The Cimarron was like just a weird looking regular car. It just happened to have Chevrolet markings all over it.
Uncle Jim said the JM is pre-Remington Marlin Remlin.
Look at that. Oh, I see. That mark means that it's pre-Remington and before somebody else bought the name and everything.
So here, for those who might not be familiar, is the Cadillac Cimarron.
Yeah, it looked like a Toyota or just some regular car. And then, oh yeah, it has Cadillac stuff on it. There was a two-door, wasn't there, or were they all four-door?
I only remember four-door. Yeah.
Funny car.
Coop is saying that he's heard that the Henrys are accurate.
Oh yeah, I would assume so. They're super overmade. Like there's a lot of metal there. It's either going to be accurate, or if it's not accurate, good luck, because it's pointing wherever it's pointing. But there's enough metal that you can make it point wherever it needs to. But I can't imagine they build them wrong. At least I've never heard any feedback that people didn't like their Henry. I've only heard people love their Henrys, actually.
Oh, apparently, a lot of people hate the Cimarron because we just lost like half the people out there disappeared.
Well, it just hit the hour, so maybe they all fell asleep. Or they're Cadillac lovers. They can't handle that kind of attitude.
Oh, what else gun related is going on? The House of Representatives passed pistol brace thing, but it's nice. I guess it's nice they made a show of it. It'd be better if they went after the NFA, but
Well, they can't. They have to go after this right now. It would be nice if they went after the NFA also, like a subsequent or a double punch, but they have to do this. They have to address this because Biden is trying to fiddle with this one. So I think it's more than cool because it sounds like they got the potential for them to throw it to the Senate and to have it go through, and then for him to get it, and then it come back, and then they could still push it through. And then good luck with that guy or any of them on that political party coming up with or using that as like one of their main things. I mean, they probably will still do it, but at least it'll indicate that they've got no legs to stand on or whatever for more control of people's property or whatever.
yeah, I don't see them overriding a veto, but
I thought it was like all they have to have is 60% or something, or 51% to override the veto in this type of thing. Because this is them slapping the executive branch for being bad. The executive branch doesn't get to hold the power in this decision. This is what the balance of powers is all about. It's only a very light amount of judicial,
yeah,
right? Not judicial. Congressional branch only has to, or they have an easier time holding accountable the executive branch. That's my understanding. At least I'm no expert on it, but that was my understanding. There's certain things like when they want to pass a budget or something, where the president has a chance to hold them in check, and that's where they can kind of lord it over each other or give each other favors on that stuff. But anyway, I think it's critical, and it also at a time when he's over there being an idiot. Did you hear the stuff he said recently?
no, I don't. Honestly, I don't really pay attention to it.
Yeah, I tried not to, but I seen so many people talking about it because at first he said, God save the Queen, man," or something like that, and the Queen's dead. So it's rude and wrong, but it's also like lame because he's saying it right after a gun control thing or in a gun control speech at least, and it's just like inappropriate on like 4 different levels. And I went to go look it up, and it's everybody's giving him grief about it. Like, what were you doing, man? Like, what did you think you were going to win by saying God save the Queen, man? And then he like drops the mic and he walks away in like a awkward way. But the stuff he said with the guns, I was trying to find one that didn't have music because all of them people have put stupid meme music behind it now to make their shit more fancy. But he says something to the effect of, you put a brace on a pistol, it turns it into a firearm, and then it has the caliber that's bigger than the bullet, and then I don't know. He says something incoherent like that, and then he says about 4 more phrases like that, and then he goes on to something else. So, yeah, pretty weird, awkward, incoherent at a speech in Connecticut. I think it was today, or not today, but yesterday or the day before, recently.
So, how you doing, Gizzard Gary?
Yeah, I'm surviving. Somebody asked why I was up late. A, I'm always up late, and B, somehow or another I've ended up with a nagging toothache.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Don't tell me.
Yeah, they always happen on Saturday when you can't get to a damn dentist either.
Have you had any tooth work done before?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you know when stuff's coming. Do you know if it's something or is it just something that's coming and going?
I have no idea. It kind of just come on me, and it's like, hopefully it's just, something that comes and goes. I really don't want to sit in a dentist chair for half a day again. That root canals and junk like that are no fun.
Yeah, I'm in the middle of one. So I didn't know you could buy the Anbesol or whatever at the store. You can buy stuff
yeah.
to wipe
Yeah.
on your gums at the store. I was sitting here in agony. I was drinking booze because I didn't have nothing else to do. I was like, ibuprofen wasn't working, and I was like, fuck it, I'm just drinking booze. So I drank like a half a bottle of booze last week trying to kill it. But yeah, then I get to the place and they start wiping the stuff on me. I'm like, oh my goodness, for some relief. And he said you can buy that at Walgreens.
Then they jab the 6-inch long needles up into your jaw.
Oh my goodness. Well, that was pretty bad, but I had an infected thing. So I don't know if you had them. Have you had more than one? Sounds like.
Root canals?
Yeah.
I've had 2 in my life, yeah.
Oh man, were either one infected?
Yeah, one was.
Okay, so you know what I'm talking about. So have you ever had one of these, DM?
Yeah, I had at least 2. I can't remember if I had a third.
Goodness, okay, so you guys are way more experienced than me. So I have an infected, and that's what I think was my thing, is the pressure of the infection. So like the infection got out of the ones, or I don't know what happened, but my face was all puffed up and it was just so sore. Like if somebody smashed me with a 2x4 or something, and you said it was all infected, and that's what I'm now dealing with the pleasure of the relief of like the pressure's gone.
For mine, I hadn't been to a dentist in, I figured out it was like 28 years. And
same here.
So I went in and I said, basically just told them, let's do everything. Let's get it done. So I had some fillings, some caps. And then when they x-rayed, they had saw some spots that might be problems in the future. So I kind of had a heads up. And then when I got the tooth pain, I took care of it right away because I knew, there was a problem that was probably coming anyway. So
I had pain, I don't know, a year or 2 ago during the middle of all the craziness, and it was super intense. And I was like, just my eyes were on, like pouring out tears from the just constant pressure of this pain. And then it just went away.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, nice. That's awesome. And it turns out that was one of my roots dying or whatever.
Yeah.
The nerves dying. So then a year later, it got infected and is even worse. Like it wouldn't end.
That's, when I went in, because I had a pain in my tooth and then it stopped. And that's what I told them. They said, oh, that's because the nerve died. That's why it stopped hurting. And then they said, so they sent me over. They basically sent me right there over to have it done in another office.
Where they start drilling in and seeing what's going on.
Yeah, well, yeah, just to drill it and fill it. So yeah, I just wanted it fixed because I want to try and hang on to my teeth as long as possible.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I've only got the one issue, so I'm gonna get it finished where it sounds like they're gonna rip it all, chop it off, do whatever they're gonna do, and then they put a crown on it.
Yeah.
And then I think there's even more. Then they got to go back for a second crown thing. It's annoying.
Yeah, because I had some cracks, so I've got some crowns.
Yeah, crowns are fun.
Oh wait, is that going to be painful?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's just kind of annoying because they put the crown on and then they have to shape it so your bite is correct.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm concerned about too, because this thing, I only have the one bad tooth. I got one other tooth with a cavity, but this is like my bad tooth. And I think that part of it was because I didn't think the last filling was like I didn't bite down on it as it was drying or something good, because I could always anyway. So I'm hoping that the crown is a good shape or whatever.
We did have a question pop up here.
Anyway, sorry to talk about dental, but I haven't had tooth pain in forever at all, maybe to this level. And I appreciate, I keep saying, I salute you guys that have had more than one. This is not anything. I brush your dang teeth if you haven't had one of these. It looks like in my poll, 75% of people have never had one. You don't want one.
No,
like, brush your dang teeth.
Yeah, like I said, when I went in, I'm like, let's just take care of it. So they did like 2 or 3 cavities, because it would be like a little piece on the side. And
I've had that when I had my baby teeth, and I thought cavities were bad. No, cavities are like a scraped knee or something compared to this.
So Jack Dorsey was wondering, what's the best grain for 9mm hollow points? Just recently bought his first pistol. There's a lot of differing opinions, because like Coop C&T Designs and Arms, he has 115 grain, and he says some like 124 grains. I prefer 124 grain. I like the heavier, which the lighter ones go faster and impart more energy, but I'm just old. I like the heavier bullets. But try out a couple different ones because they can have a different feel when you shoot them. And you can't really go wrong. I don't think you can go wrong. You may not get maximum, whether you're looking for penetration or, well, I guess with hollow points, you're more imparting that power within the body cavity. But I'll even sometimes just carry ball ammo. But I don't think you can go wrong with either as long as you've got good, like, was it Coop that said Sig V Crown? It's good stuff. Hornady will probably be a little more powerful, the critical defense.
Federal HST pacifist says, which is also a good choice.
That's like walking into a fishing store and going, I would like the best lure for bass. So get ready for a different answer from everybody you talk to.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'd like the best tires for my car. Like, all right, sit down and start writing a list because everybody's got their experience and their preferences. And then it's like fishing or whatever. Like there is the best lure for this and that and the other thing. But in reality, it's like not like fishing because you don't get to go sit out there and decide the best for the best. It's like now is the time you need it and here's the scenario. So whatever you chose, hopefully you chose for this because this is when you need it. And it might be when you first get woken up when something's going on in your house, or it might be, while you're walking across the bank parking lot, or it could be, some other reason. So you don't know if you got to go through something or if there's 10 people or something, or if there's somebody that's on PCP. I mean, there's no way to know the future. So anybody who's got a preference, it's based on what they've experienced or what they perceive to be a potential. And in reality, nobody knows what kind of lethal force situation might happen. So,
and whatever,
see what it's like, see what happens.
Whatever you're trying, run a bunch of it through your gun because not every ammunition might work in every gun. You could have feeding issues.
Oh yeah, that's the best answer, honestly, because it's 100%. You can have a gun that eats everything except for whatever you think is cool because it's trendy on YouTube right now. And it turns out your gun don't like it.
As long as you find something that works when you need it to work, that's the most important thing. And then he had asked about staggering his rounds to, there we go. Like 2 hollow points and 1 full metal jacket. I wouldn't bother.
Mm-mm.
There's no real reason to do that.
That was before the internet when people would have weird ideas and things would go around and no one was there to challenge them. So things could go around longer. So that's old thought. Definitely not something to do.
And congratulations on your first gun.
Did say first gun?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's saying he got his first one. Or I got to go back and see if I can find the comment.
No, you're right. First pistol. Well, it could have been other guns because you might have had a rifle or something. Right? But still, very cool. So if you don't buy your kid a 45, they're going to go buy their own 9mm.
Coop had a good point about whatever will reliably feed through your gun. Some guns like certain brands better than they do
Yeah.
others. Make sure it'll cycle.
Over and over and over. Keep trying it.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, he said it's his first pistol, but he's had other firearms given to him. Well, just try different stuff. Get out there, shoot, and then different ammunition can have different accuracy.
I
Or
think a good rule of thumb is to go with whatever your police use. Find out what the local police or law enforcement in your area use.
But that's true. If you sight it in using full FMJ, your hollow points may hit differently on the target. They may not hit that same center. So
I sent you an email, Gizzard.
Nobody needs.
oh
full-
yes, I saw that.
Okay.
Thank you. I guess.
that snob's idea. Just
You'll see it
idea.
next week.
Yeah.
Everybody that's out there.
What were you saying, G-Webs?
I don't think anybody needs a fully copper jacket.
Yeah, I don't think I've shot any of the copper rounds, like the tumble on impact.
You mean the solid copper stuff?
Yeah.
We had some in the shop because of California has weird laws, so then people would come in and buy the solid copper stuff. It looks cool. It seems super expensive. Like, you're a bad guy, and I want you to quit doing whatever you're doing, but I'm not throwing that much copper at you. Like, when I can do it with a bunch of lead. Maybe if it was like a bear or something, I'd be like, okay, I got some respect for this bear. I'm gonna go like shoot a bear with like a giant slug of copper. That might, like a razor blade edge or whatever. That could be kind of cool.
Well, the bad guys might want you to shoot copper at them so they can pick it up and resell it.
I think
It doesn't
eventually
even get to them, and they've already stolen the copper out of the
I think eventually it'll have to go away from lead, just because the way lead mining is, there's really no lead mining in the US. It's all recovered lead, and then the restrictions, more and more restrictions are being put on lead. I think it would be good to look at alternatives. And then it'll be like anything else. It'll be expensive to start with, and then the more people that buy it, will bring the cost down.
You ever seen somebody take a lithium battery, like a AA battery or AAA battery, and peel the outside part off, which is metal, and then unwrap the middle, which is like a big fruit roll-up made out of a lithium metal strip? Have you ever seen that, Gizzard?
No, I haven't.
So essentially, the inside of a AA battery is a big fruit roll-up made out of lithium metal, except it's in like this wide strip, right? And lithium metal is essentially the same as like lead metal. If you pounded it out into a thin strip and could roll it up in a big fruit roll-up, shove it into a AA battery. So it's this like essentially like heavy aluminum foil inside of a piece of wax paper, or a piece of wax paper, and that's just the battery. And I don't know, there must be acid or something in there. But if you take that lithium ribbon that's as wide as a 2 AA battery, and then I don't know, it's like 6 feet long or something. It's pretty long. Maybe it's 4 feet long. But you take a little chunk of that and throw it in water, and it essentially explodes. And it like explodes the water in the bowl and like anybody around there. Like, it's pretty violent. So what if you took that and made projectiles out of something like that?
Wow.
Then it's like, like all I need is the penetration to get it into the wet mass, and then chemical reaction happens, and the rest is not. Or is that outside a realm of something?
Well, you're not. It'd be really hard to put that fire out, because that's the problem
That's
they're
true.
having with electric vehicles.
Yeah, you'd be.
They can burn.
And it would just burn for 15 minutes or whatever.
The electric batteries on the cars, they can burn for a week underwater. So what else is going on here?
Did you have a good Father's Day? Well, yours that's tomorrow. Mine was today.
Well,
Kind of a weird situation. The only time I see my kids is on Saturdays, so we celebrated today.
yeah, I saw your picture. Was it on Instagram?
Yeah, Instagram and Facebook. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's just me and a 3-year-old. So
My daughter texted me and she said, make sure and wear your Gizzard Gary shirt so we can take stupid pictures of having matching shirts. I was like, oh, okay. That they turned out really cute. I liked it.
yeah, X Adam 1 is asking me how I'm spending my day. Watching a 3-year-old. So that's pretty much it. Went to the store today, bought groceries. Probably won't do anything tomorrow.
I got special food cooked for me today, which was nice.
Ah,
My daughter made me her chicken cheese enchiladas that she hasn't made in about 5 or 6 years. Pretty nice. Then she made some homemade queso dip and actually made homemade salsa. It's real good.
Jack Dorsey said he bought a Glock 19 Gen 5.
Decent choice.
Yeah.
For a
Can't-
9mm.
Can't really go wrong.
Yeah, perfect choice.
But the grip angle.
I don't have a Gen 5. I have a Gen 4.
That's what I have. I have a Gen 4 G20, which I really like.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with it.
Yeah, you got to start somewhere, and being that they're perfect, you can start wherever and wiggle around or not. You can either explore the other ones or not.
Yeah, I've shot a G23, 48.
You shot at G23.
Well, he's coming at me. What am I going to do? 43X. And I think one other one, which I can't think of. And they all kind of feel the same. Just, the G20.
What was it we shot there at Nebraska? Was that the 43X?
That was the 43X.
That's what I thought. I liked it all right.
Yeah. It was a Glock. Felt like a Glock, shot like a Glock.
Yeah, they pretty much all do. That's true.
Yeah.
No, I own the 19, then I own the 22, which is the longer slide version of the 40. That's a lot of fun. If you can afford 40 ammo to shoot.
You ever shot 24?
Mm-mm.
That's the 17L. That's the 40 version of the 17L. If I got my numbers right, it's been a while since I was sharp on that, but I'm pretty sure it's a 24. And so it's even longer. It's like an inch longer than the one you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Same grip.
The longer slide helps a little bit more in the recoil. Plus, you've got, the sight radius is even more improved. So, from a target standpoint, it's pretty good target pistol.
Yeah, it just seems so weird. I like it because it's so long. And then you put a light under it, and it's so long that the light, doesn't even go past the dust cover like on every other gun in the world where the light is hanging off in front of the barrel half the time. Well, I guess lights are getting smaller and smaller, but back in the day,
they are.
it's always hanging out.
Pacifist said his daughter bought him a vial of glitter. She knows how much he hates it.
Well, a vial of glitter and here you go, haha, funny joke, versus one of them bombs, like some kind of letter or package where it's all over the place. It's at least she loves you.
Yeah, New York Outcast tried to get me with confetti. sent me a letter with confetti in it, but didn't work.
Yeah.
When I opened the letter, because I open it across the top, I don't have open it. If I had opened it on the side, it probably would have spilled out. But opened it across the top, and then when I pulled it out, it was lumpy on one side. So I held the lump, and that's where all the confetti was.
Have you ever seen those rattlesnake eggs?
Yes.
That's the
think
way
so.
to do it. That's the way to do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because then that would make it do stuff.
Yeah, those are fun.
But he also sent me $1, so I appreciate the
There's nothing wrong with
$1.
that. Yeah.
He took $100 bill, photocopied a $1 on it, so that when you go to use it, you get arrested for counterfeit. Class of 2027. That sounds crazy.
Wow.
Sounds like the future.
Yeah, it does.
It's like the Jetsons or some shit.
Well,
Every time I
Jetsons-
see stuff like that, it just reminds me how old I'm getting.
You better have taken some kind of laser class, kid. I'm telling you, some kind of laser class. There better have been a hologram somewhere in that those years of your schooling.
Yeah, everybody asked me if I took IT classes in college. I said, what computer classes we had consisted of, not kidding, computer punch cards. You remember the old IBM punch cards?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I did.
We
I
actually
didn't-
worked with those when I was in college.
When I don't think I'm that much younger than you, but so somewhere in there, when my dad was in school, they were learning those. So I seen him learn them, but I was a little kid watching him learn them. So I was alive when they existed, but by the time I was old enough to walk and do stuff and whatever, they were already reel to reels or whatever that's called. The giant tapes. That was probably 4 years later, 5 years later.
Yeah.
Then a few years later, they weren't even using those anymore.
George Jetson was born in 2022.
Was that right?
Born in 2022.
Yep.
So he won't be an adult until 20.
Because it takes place
40.
in like 2062.
So what you're
There's
telling
that
me is George Grayson Cat is older than George Jetson.
Yes.
Wow.
So I wonder if anybody in that year named their kid, anybody named Jetson named their kid George.
Wonder if there is anyone in the United States with the surname of Jetson.
Yeah, there has to be, right? I think I've even known people, or maybe I'm crazy. That's probably one of them butterfly effect things. If you think you know somebody, then it just you can't remember exactly what you think you do.
It's an English name.
Ozzy said we didn't even have electric typewriters. We had some. They were the old IBM Selectrics with the ball. Those were fun in typing class when I was a senior.
Jensen's is, I don't know when this, I guess 2010 census. The Jetson surname appeared 126 times.
Wow. So it could happen.
I know that in, God, when was it? Like mid 90s? There were 12 people named Skeeter in Idaho.
What was that? A movie or something?
No, I had a friend that worked for the Moscow Police Department. He told me that there were 12 people in Idaho named Skeeter.
Oh, you just mean somebody had done a trace and it was just interesting.
Yeah.
That was that.
Yeah, there are websites you can go to that'll tell you how many people have the certain name, first name or last name.
And according to the internet, July 31st, 2022 is his birthday, but it doesn't say anything, and that's a year ago already. So it doesn't say anything about like somebody with that surname having a kid and naming them that, which seems like a wasted opportunity.
So by the time they get around to actually having flying cars, I'm probably going to be long gone from this planet. That's what you're telling me.
No, because you can chop off your head and put it in a jar like that other show. Or
Futurama.
did Jetsons? I didn't watch the Jetsons all that much for whatever reason. I watched Flintstones way more. I think I don't know why, but anyway, did the Jetsons have anything like people's brain downloaded or robots or anything? I know they had robots,
Well,
Yeah,
they
they
have
had a
robot.
robot made.
but I mean, did they have people heads on robots or anything like that?
No.
Okay,
Don't remember it.
people died in the Jetsons, then, so it's not like they had some kind of let's keep perpetual life going or consciousness going.
But the theory was, or at least I've read this lately, the theory is that the Jetsons and the Flintstones existed in the same universe, and that the technology advanced people lived up in the sky in the towers, and then on the ground is where the Flintstones and people like that lived. And the theory is
Oh,
it's
like at the
supposedly there
same
was some
time.
big cataclysmic event, and so everybody that had technology moved up into the sky, and then
So the Flintstones were Morlocks.
something like that.
AAF, American Ammo and Firearms, is out there.
I guess there's an episode where the Jetsons actually go down to the ground and visit the Flintstones, supposedly.
I think
Well, I
that
know
was. I think that was a movie. It was
I
a-
know that I knew that the Flintstones were supposed to be the same like planet as the Jetsons, or I assumed that was like earlier in the same planet. Like the Flintstones are our past and the Jetsons are our future. But I never thought of it as being someplace else and at the same time. But I did see. Well, I know there's the mix, but I thought that was a movie too, and I thought it was more like that little Gizmo guy or whatever, Blinks it happens or something. Like I thought they explained it that way.
What, Kazoo, the Great Kazoo?
Yeah, that guy. Like he sneezed or whatever he does, and he like made
Wow.
it happen or something. So somebody, I don't want to talk about teeth again, but somebody said something about having a dry socket, and now I'm super paranoid that this like temporary thing is going to fall out. Like, did that thing just move? Did that thing get loose?
Let me do this because I'm thinking about it. Maybe do this if I can remember. There it is. GearWebsites.com for all your 2A related t-shirts, stickers, patches. He does web design, consulting, you name it. He can probably help you out with it. GearWebsites.com. And every Friday is Free Patch Friday, but he's pretty cool about throwing in extra stuff anyways normally. So
Yeah, thanks for the plug.
anything else you want to plug, G-Webs?
It sounds like Locked and Loaded is doing their show again tomorrow. It's been a few weeks since they've had a chance to be together and do it. They do a show out of Florida on Sunday afternoons, right? Kind of after most of the radio shows. Locked and Loaded Latinos out of Florida, Sunday afternoons. Thanks for hosting.
Well, no problem. And 100% True is just jumping in as we're closing her down. Gary,
Yes, sir.
would you like to plug anything?
Certainly. I have a live stream every Friday. It's called Foul Territory, and that is at 9 o'clock p.m. Central Time, 10 o'clock Eastern. Goodness only knows what time it is out there in that Pacific time zone or whatever other time zones there are. You guys figure it out, but we'd love to have you. Thanks for having me on the show. Good show. And thanks.
We are sometime in the past out
Okay.
there. So I appreciate everybody that was out there in the live chat, chatting her up, and those who might have been out there lurking but not saying anything. I appreciate you too. And again, if you watch this in replay, leave a comment. Whatever we talked about, you can talk about your dry socket, whatever. Comments are always appreciated, and I read them all. So Wednesday, there should be Wednesday night mouse party, and then the next overnight will not be this coming up weekend, but the weekend after. So I gotta find my outro. There it is. So I hope everybody has a good Father's Day if it applies, and if not, then I still hope you have a good rest of the day.
You still here? It's over. Go home. Go.